I tried to plan the perfect date for my girlfriend, but everything went horribly wrong. I planned this date for 2 weeks. 2 freaking weeks. I wanted everything to be perfect. You know, like in the movies, romantic dinner, soft music, maybe a little surprise at the end to make her night unforgettable. My girlfriend, Emily, deserved that. She had been having a rough time at work, dealing with an absolute nightmare of a boss, and I thought a special night would cheer her up. I booked a reservation at this fancy Italian restaurant she had been dying to try, made sure they had her favorite dish, and even coordinated with the staff to bring out a surprise dessert with a cute little message on it. After dinner, I planned for us to take a walk by the river, where I'd set up a small picnic with candles and a playlist of songs that meant something to us. It was foolproof, or so I thought. The first sign of trouble happened about an hour before I was supposed to pick her up. I was on my way to pick up flowers, because every perfect date starts with flowers, right? When my car decided to betray me. The check engine light popped on, and before I could even panic properly, the engine died. Right there, in the middle of a busy intersection. Cue angry honking and middle fingers from passing drivers. I frantically turned the key, hoping it was just a fluke, but nope. Dead as my chances of having a smooth evening. I called a tow truck, but they said it would take at least an hour to get there. That wasn't an option. I had dinner reservations in 45 minutes. So I did the only thing I could think of. I ran. I sprinted 6 freaking blocks to the nearest flower shop, sweat pouring down my back like I had just run a marathon. I barely had time to catch my breath before I grabbed a bouquet of Emily's favorite lilies, paid, and ran to the bus stop. I checked my watch. If the bus came on time, I'd be only 5 minutes late. The bus was 20 minutes late. By the time I got to Emily's apartment, I looked like I had just taken a swim in my own sweat. My shirt was sticking to my back, my hair was a mess, and I was gasping for air like a fish out of water. But I put on my best smile and knocked on her door, holding up the slightly squished bouquet like a peace offering. Emily opened the door, looking absolutely stunning in this little black dress that made my brain short-circuit. And then she saw me. "Are you okay?" she asked, eyebrows raised. "Yeah, totally fine," I lied, still wheezing. She took one look at the flowers and the state of me and just laughed. At least she was amused. We were already running late, so I ordered an Uber instead of trying to figure out public transportation again. The car showed up in 3 minutes. Finally, something went right. Or so I thought. The Uber driver was the chattiest man I had ever met. Normally, I wouldn't mind, but I was already stressed out, and this guy was talking about his divorce in full detail. And then she took the house. Can you believe that? 20 years of marriage, and she just walks away with everything. Emily shot me a look, trying not to laugh. I forced a polite nod, hoping he would get the hint and stop, but he did not. By the time we got to the restaurant, I knew this man's entire life story, including the fact that he now lived in a studio apartment with his cat, Mr. Whiskers, who apparently hated him. Great romantic mood, ruined. We finally made it to the restaurant, only to find out they lost our reservation. "Sir, I don't see your name in the system," the hostess said, scrolling through her screen. I felt my soul leave my body. No, I made the reservation 2 weeks ago," I insisted. "Under Jake Reynolds." She shook her head. "I'm sorry, but we're fully booked tonight." Emily touched my arm. "It's okay, babe. We can just go somewhere else." No, I got this," I said, pulling up my confirmation email. "Proof." The hostess frowned. "Oh, I see the issue. Your reservation was for last night." I stared at my phone in horror. I had booked it for the wrong freaking day. Emily was trying so hard not to laugh. I, on the other hand, wanted to disappear into the floor. We had no choice but to leave. At this point, I was desperate to salvage the night. We ended up walking a few blocks until we found this small, hole-in-the-wall diner. It wasn't fancy, but at least it had food. We sat down and I forced myself to take a deep breath. Okay, I can still turn this around. Then the waiter came over. "Hey, what can I get you guys?" Emily ordered a burger, and I ordered spaghetti. Because damn it, if we weren't getting fancy Italian, I was at least getting something close. 10 minutes later, the waiter came back with Emily's burger and a plate of raw spaghetti noodles for me. Like uncooked. I blinked, What is this?" The waiter looked just as confused. "Oh, crap, the chef must have messed up. Let me fix that." 15 minutes later, he brought me a properly cooked plate of spaghetti, but forgot the sauce. At this point, Emily was crying from laughter. After our chaotic dinner, I was still determined to make the night special. So we went to the river, where I had planned a romantic picnic. One problem. It started raining. Not a cute light drizzle, a full-on storm. We had no umbrellas, no jackets, just us sprinting through the rain, completely soaked within seconds. When we finally made it under a bus stop shelter, I was ready to just give up. Night ruined. Then Emily did something unexpected. She started laughing, like really laughing. I stared at her. "What's so funny?" She wiped rain from her face, still giggling. "This is, honestly, one of the best nights ever." I blinked. "Are you serious?" She nodded. "Yeah, I mean everything went wrong, but it was hilarious. And we're together, so who cares?" I just stared at her, completely in awe. I had spent the whole night stressing about making things perfect when, in reality, she didn't need perfect. She just needed me. So, standing there, drenched and exhausted, I kissed her. And even though the night was a disaster that moment, absolutely perfect. After that chaotic, rain-soaked, completely unexpected disaster of a date, I honestly thought that was the end of it. Like, we'd laugh about it later, maybe use it as an inside joke. But for the most part, I was just relieved that Emily hadn't broken up with me on the spot. But here's the thing about dating someone who finds joy in absolute chaos. She doesn't let you forget it. The next morning, I woke up to a text from her. "Emily, last night was amazing. Let's do it again sometime. Maybe this time we try skydiving and see if our parachutes malfunction." I groaned and buried my face in my pillow. This woman was never going to let me live this down. Then another text came in. "Emily, also, I think you left your wallet in the diner. Enjoy your morning quest." I shot up in bed. No, 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 no. I checked my pants. Sure enough, no wallet. Now, let me tell you about the absolute walk of shame that is returning to a diner after being served raw spaghetti the night before. The moment I stepped inside, the same waiter from last night spotted me. He grinned. He remembered. "Oh, hey, spaghetti guy," he called out loud enough for half the diner to hear. I wanted to die. Hey," I muttered. "I think I left my wallet here." "Yeah, we got it, but first," he turned to the kitchen and shouted, "Hey, Tony, spaghetti guy's back." A voice from the back yelled, "Tell him we'll cook it this time." Kill me. Wallet recovered, ego permanently bruised. I got back home and decided, you know what? I need redemption. The date was a disaster, sure, but it wasn't my fault. It was just bad luck. So I made up my mind I was going to take Emily on another date. A do-over, one where nothing could go wrong. Spoiler, everything went wrong, again. I spent the next few days meticulously planning. No mistakes this time. Double-checked restaurant reservations. Picked a backup place just in case. Borrowed my roommate's car, because mine was still in the shop. Avoided anything remotely related to public transport. I even made a list of potential disaster scenarios, so I could prepare for anything. And yet, fate had other plans. Date night arrives. I pick up Emily, and the moment she gets in the car, she's already smirking. "So what's tonight's disaster theme?" she teased. "Haha, very funny," I said. "Tonight, everything is under control." Emily raised an eyebrow. We'll see." We would not see, because nothing was going to go wrong. I had ensured it. Right. 5 minutes into the drive, I noticed something. The gas light was on. Now I knew for a fact that my roommate's car was supposed to have a full tank. I even reminded him the night before. "Make sure the tank is full, dude. I can't have another disaster date." So why the hell was I running on fumes? I quickly checked my phone. Closest gas station, 8 miles away. I glanced at Emily, who had definitely noticed my sudden anxiety. "What's wrong?" she asked. "Nothing," I lied. She looked at the dashboard. "You're almost out of gas, aren't you?" "Maybe." She burst out laughing. "Jake, you are cursed." We made it to the gas station with, I kid you not, 1 mile left on the tank. I got out, ready to fill up, when I realized something. My wallet was still in my other car. I checked my pockets again, hoping maybe it had magically teleported there. Nope, nothing. Emily rolled down the window. Everything okay? Yeah, totally fine. She raised an eyebrow. You don't have your wallet, do you? I sighed. No, I do not. At this point, Emily was dying of laughter in the passenger seat. This is unbelievable, she gasped. You are actually cursed. Now normal people would just ask their date to cover the gas, right? Well, fun fact, Emily also forgot her wallet. We were two idiots stranded at a gas station with no money. I had to call my roommate, who, after roasting me for a solid 5 minutes, finally agreed to Venmo me enough to fill the tank. Dude, he said before hanging up, maybe you should just stay home next time. I was starting to agree. After finally getting gas, we made it to the restaurant, and guess what? The restaurant was closed. Apparently, they were doing maintenance for the night, which would have been great to know if I had checked their website before leaving. Emily just stood there, hands on her hips, grinning. So, what's plan B? I checked my list. Backup restaurant, 20 minutes away. Fine, we had time. We could still salvage this. Except my phone was at 3%. And the charger, also in my other car. Emily handed me her phone. Here, use mine. I took it, opened Google Maps, and right as I entered the address, her phone died too. We just stood there in silence for a moment. Then Emily turned to me. Jake. Yes. You actually might be the unluckiest person alive. I couldn't argue. At this point, we had two choices. 1, wander around aimlessly until we found food. 2, accept that the universe hated me and go home. Emily, being the chaotic gremlin she is, chose option 1. We started walking, hopping to stumble upon a decent restaurant. 5 minutes later, it started raining. Again. Emily turned to me. Okay, this is actually hilarious. I groaned. Emily, I just wanted one perfect date. One. She smiled. Jake, it is perfect. I stared at her. How is this perfect? Everything went wrong again. She shrugged. Yeah, but I get to spend the night with my favorite disaster of a boyfriend. I blinked. You like this? I love this, she admitted. It's fun, it's unpredictable, it's us. And just like that, I realized something. Maybe perfection isn't about fancy dinners or perfectly planned nights. Maybe it's about the moments that go completely off the rails but still make you laugh. So, standing there, soaked in the rain, lost in a random part of town, I kissed her. And just like last time, despite everything that had gone wrong, it was perfect. After that second failed attempt at a perfect date, I decided to finally accept my fate. I was not meant to have smooth, elegant, movie-style dates. I was not built for candlelit dinners that went exactly as planned. The universe had made it very clear that whenever I tried to impress Emily with grand, romantic gestures, chaos would intervene. And you know what? That was okay. Because somehow, Emily loved it. After that night, our dates became intentionally chaotic. Instead of trying to make things perfect, we started embracing the disaster. Instead of fancy restaurants, we tried random hole-in-the-wall diners with questionable Yelp reviews just to see what would happen. Instead of movie nights, we went to the most bizarre local events we could find, including a competitive duck-calling contest. Don't ask. Instead of carefully planned trips, we'd pick a random direction and just drive. And every single time, something went wrong. One time, we ended up at a haunted motel that was just a regular motel with really bad plumbing. Another time, we went to a drive-in movie but got trapped in the parking lot for 2 hours because someone lost their car keys inside their popcorn bucket. At some point, I realized that Emily wasn't dating me in spite of my terrible luck. She was dating me because of it. Fast forward 2 years. By this point, Emily and I were inseparable. She was my partner in crime, my chaos-loving co-pilot, my favorite person in the world. So obviously, I decided to propose. And because I had finally learned my lesson, I didn't try to make it perfect. No elaborate plans, no expensive dinner, no elaborate speeches. I just took her back to the diner where we had our first disastrous date, the one with the raw spaghetti, the one where my wallet went missing. We sat down at the same booth, and when the waiter, who still recognized me, asked what we wanted. I smiled and said, "I'll take the spaghetti. Raw, please." Emily burst out laughing. And while she was still laughing, I pulled out the ring and said, "So, do you want to keep doing this disaster of a life together?" She didn't even let me finish before she said yes.